Hi, I'm Bill Hodges, and this is Spotlight on Government. Today, we've got a quasi-government relationship here. We've got an organization that works with government and private resources to bring a lot of things into our area. Rob Higgins, CEO of the Tampa Bay Sports Commission. And Rob, I understand you bring a lot of people to Tampa every year.
That's the goal. I mean, our goal, plain and simple, it's dual-fold. It's social and economic impact through sports. On the social side of things, we work to generate scholarship exposure for our local athletes. We've done several hundred over the last few years of scholarships for our local kids in a variety of sports. We do that through 14 owned and operated events that help get our kids scholarship exposure and take them to the next level. And these are kids that may not have had the opportunity to go to college if it wasn't for these programs.
I understand recruiting, and I understand them sending out scouts to watch people play and so forth. But how do you work into that?
Well, I'll give you one sport, for example. We do this in several sports, but football, for example, after a kid plays their junior year, we have a combine that actually takes place in early June, just a few weeks ago. And it gives them a chance to really get the first testing in terms of the 40-yard dash, vertical, bench press, all those different agility tests that'll give their measurables out to a lot of colleges. We send that video out to a lot of different colleges around the country and really start to get them on the radar for the first time right after their junior year. So that's prong number one of that approach.
So do the schools have to provide this, or do you work with them to get these videos?
No, it's an event that we produce. So we have a couple hundred of our student athletes at it, and then we're able to send that video out to those colleges. So then our students go into their senior year, play their senior year, and at the end of their senior year, we host an all-star game that takes place at Raymond James Stadium. That then allows those coaches to come in colleges and take a look at these athletes all week throughout practice and then at the game itself. Once that takes place in December following their senior year, National Signing Day happens in February. And what happens is sometimes that scholarship call or offer never happens. So we set up an event 2 weeks after that signing day to give one last shot for schools to be able to come in and see our events. And it's called the Small College Recruiting Fair. It's a 2-day event where our high schools here set up and show tape, show transcripts for all those kids that haven't signed yet.
So it's like a conference they come into?
It is. It's a small fair. It takes place at Jefferson High School. And on the second day of that, after they've gotten a chance, those small schools, we have 60 to 80 from around the country that come in and get a chance to see it. On the second day, we have over 500 kids and their families get a chance to meet with those small colleges and visit with them. We almost play matchmaker in that regard.
Wow.
And you'll see all the way from February through the summer, you'll see our kids signing at a lot of these smaller schools. And again, these are kids, first-generation college attendees that have never had a chance, their families never had a chance to go to college in the past. And because of these events and this recruiting approach, they get a chance to get all the benefits of a college education.
Any one of these kids couldn't do it by themselves.
No, it's really been a great program. We appreciate Hillsborough County makes an investment in the program. We have several partners and sponsors that invest in it as well. And while we spent a lot of time just talking about football, we're working to build out this three-prong approach in several sports. We have all-star games in basketball, both boys and girls right now. We've built out combines in boys and girls basketball. We have it in softball, baseball, several of these sports. Our goal is to have each of these sports have these three prongs in place for each of them. That way, no student athlete gets left behind. If they want to be able to play at the next level, we're going to give them every chance and every bit of exposure we possibly can.
To show their ability. They obviously have to have the ability to do this. Are the coaches the one that pinpoints them? I can't believe you and your small staff can run out there and look at everybody.
No, high school coaches play a major role in this, and guidance counselors do as well. There's a reason why student is the first word in terms of student athlete. So before our kids get any exposure, a lot of times their transcript gets passed on to the schools, and their academic side gets shared as well. We want to make sure that it's a successful fit both academically and athletically. And it's important that we have a great partner in Hillsborough County, the school system there, to be able to help make sure that these kids are destined for success. We work diligently with the athletic department at Hillsborough County. We work with several other partners to make sure that we're matching these kids up with the right fit, both academically and athletically. Naturally, as you asked your question, the high school football coach or the high school coach, whatever sport it may be, plays a huge role in that.
You know, it's interesting to me. And I guess one of the reasons why I like to do this show so much is that I continue to learn things that I didn't know about the Tampa area. And I had no idea of this All-Star game that you're talking about in December.
Sure, it's been a long-standing event over at Raymond James Stadium. It's a great chance. Not only does it give these kids exposure, but a lot of them look forward to it as a reward, having played, you know, whether it be their senior year or junior year, all of those different years, and all the practice and sweat they put into this to get a chance to play on the same field as a lot of their favorite heroes get to play on Sunday. You know, it's a great experience for them. They take their team picture up on the pirate ship, and then they go down and they get dressed in their Buccaneers locker room. And again, they get a chance to use the same locker room that a lot of their favorite players. And then, you know, they run out the tunnel out onto the field and have their name called. So it makes for memories that'll last a lifetime. Well, you know, 50-something of the 90 kids this past year will wind up going to play college. You know, there's 40 out of those 90 that won't. So to have that memory and to go out with a bang, per se, as their last really football memory on the field is something that's certainly rewarding as well.
Do they sell tickets for this game, or is it just open to anybody who wants to come to it? Or
Sure, we sell tickets. It's a nominal charge. I think last year it was $5.
It doesn't really matter.
To be able to get a chance to experience an NFL stadium for that $5 has been pretty good experience for everybody.
It wouldn't be too bad of parking for that.
No. Certainly, it's a great experience for all involved. So, you know, not a lot of I guess notoriety or exposure goes on that side of the fence. You know, a lot of times people talk in terms of the Tampa Bay Sports Commission, talk about us going out and bidding on events and hosting them once we get here. But I can tell you, our eye's on the ball in terms of trying to get our kids, our local kids here, scholarship exposure as well.
Well, I think it's kind of nice. And really, it's investing in the future. If you help these kids go on to have good college careers, end up going and playing pro somewhere, they owe you.
Oh, you think about the rising cost of college education today. I mean, we're talking about it could be upwards of $100,000 to some of these schools that they're going and getting a scholarship to. So when you multiply that by the several hundred athletes that have benefited from the program, we're talking about millions of dollars in play here. So it's a great return on investment for all involved. And naturally, the social effects of having more college graduates in the marketplace and being able to create those jobs, it's a win-win model for all involved.
And many of them will come back here. So it's another investment in the community.
Absolutely. We see several of those graduates. You know, I think we all can agree Tampa Bay is such a great great place to work and to live. And we see a lot of those folks coming home and reaping the benefits of their hometown.
Tell me about some of the other things you're doing. That's with the kids, but what?
Sure, that's the
social
social impact side of things.
Yeah.
We spend a lot of time on the economic impact side of things, and that's going and bidding on events from a sports and entertainment standpoint of all shapes and sizes. This past year,
including bridge, you told me.
Absolutely. This past year, we bid on and hosted 115 events. So we each and every weekend not only have one event, could have two events and several events throughout the week. I mean, we're talking about sports and entertainment events of all shapes and sizes. So from an event like Bridge, which you mentioned, to the World Rope Skipping Championship.
World Rope Skipping Championship?
Yep, a lot
Wow.
like jump rope, where we had almost 20 countries come in from around the world and participate.
You're kidding. 20 countries came to skip rope?
Absolutely, and they stayed in our hotels, and they ate in our restaurants, and they shopped in our shops. We hosted the College Hockey National Championship, the Frozen Four. That had a great impact on the community. It was the first time that event has ever been to the southeastern part of the United States in its 60-year history.
Fortunately, we do have a good team here, but the South is not known for hockey.
Not known for college hockey. It's known for professional with that, you know, the success of the Lightning.
Right.
They're great partners of ours, but we went out and bid on the college hockey Frozen Four. We're able to get it here. It went off without a hitch. It's something we'll bid on again here in the near future.
What time of year did they have that?
It was in April. It's a second weekend of April. It was a great chance. These were schools from the Northeast predominantly that had, had a harsh winter, and for them to be able to walk off the plane and be greeted with oranges and certainly a great atmosphere in the sun that helped wipe away and melt away a lot of the stresses of winter.
Spring break all of a sudden.
It really was. So it was a great event. It's one of those we'll bid on to bring back here again. But really a wide range of different events to be able to try to attract here. Our group's been on a great run in terms of a lot of major events, but then we also have those events that don't get as much notoriety that help fill our hospitality community each and every weekend.
You got to keep those hotels full.
People
don't realize that, folks. If you don't keep those hotels full, then the restaurants start to fail, all kinds of things.
Bill, there's 67,000 people that depend on tourism, hospitality employees here. So, those major events are great, and we bid on them, and, we may host 1 or 2 or 3 of those a year, but it's those smaller events, the youth and amateur events that help really fuel those wages and help fuel, the hotels and restaurants and shops on an each and every day or weekend basis. Those are the things that help really fuel the economy from a tourism standpoint.
And that's really how you're kind of funded, correct? Let's talk about your funding just a little bit, not specifically, but roughly. Where do you find your funding to keep this organization, which, by the way, with only 6 employees, is very lean and mean?
Sure, we try to stay lean and mean. It's really important for us to spend a lot of our resources on our programming and on those bids that we referenced and a lot of the promises we make and making sure we meet and exceed those expectations. In terms of funding standpoint, we're a public-private partnership, so we do receive some public funding. Most of it is through the hotel bed tax, where all those hotel rooms that we filled this past year, we generated 132,000 visitor room nights.
Wow.
And so there's obviously a significant amount of bed tax that's generated from it, and we receive a portion of it to be able to generate more and more of these hotel visitor room nights. And then on the private side of things, we're fortunate to have some great partners here locally that invest in our company. We've got a lot of folks that year over year have helped fuel our budget and then have gotten to see a return on investment from it as well.
It's interesting when you start talking about that, because you bring them in here for a bridge tournament or you bring them in for the Frozen Four or whatever, and they see this area, they're going to come back.
That's our goal. Even in advance of us recruiting them here, we feel like if we can get a potential event just to come see the area, that it'll help sell it. We think once people experience it, that'll help lock it in. I was born and raised here. I've never left. I was sold on the area at a very early age, and it's one of those things, we see that in our clients as well. If they get a chance to come experience downtown or West Shore or Busch Gardens or any of our attractions and get a chance to soak up the sun in our hospitality community, and we haven't even mentioned our facilities, these great state-of-the-art facilities we have. If they experience it one time, we're confident we'll be able to get them to come back either with their event or come back and have their event and host it here several times.
It was the airport that sold us on the area.
The airport is unbelievable. Joe Lopano and his staff, they do a fantastic job. It's one of the best airports in the country, if not the best. I know I'm biased, but we travel a ton going out and trying to get these events. So we have a good scouting report on all the airports out there. And the job that our folks do here, the people help make the place. Certainly the airport is as great as it gets, but just the seamless service and everybody involved, it makes it convenient, it makes it accessible, and it makes it a fantastic first impression for anybody that walks the ground or flies into TIA.
Well, when Phyllis and I came down here, I was moving my business from Dayton, Ohio to down here, and I have a seminar company. We do seminars all over the world. We've been in China, India, we've been all over doing various types of seminars. And I need an airport that I can get in and out of conveniently, where if she's dropping me off, I don't have to worry about her going back home. And this airport is just outstanding. I don't know of another airport in the country that's as easy to access, to get on the plane, to get off the plane, to get back in your car, and to go home from.
Oh, it's fantastic. And now they've incorporated so many touches of Tampa, I would call it. from Mise en Place having a concept there, to the Columbia, to all these different things that we've prided ourselves on as a community. It's now really taking the shape of a Tampa Bay type of an airport. So, it's always been a fantastic place to get in and out of and all those different things, but now they're adding those character traits that really are making it special. So we're excited for Joe Lopano and crew over there, and we look forward to continuing to sell them to the world in terms of sports and entertainment and bringing events here.
Let's talk about how you find these events. How do you find these events? I'm sure there's probably some kind of book or manual that says this many events happen every year. Like if I were going to look for associations and I wanted to sell my services, there's an association book that shows me all the associations, where they're meeting, when they're meeting, and who's in charge. Is there a similar kind of thing for what you do?
Well, we pre-qualify them based off of the facilities we have available. So you won't see us anytime soon. While we'll go after college hockey and bring it here, you won't see us going after any snow ski championships anytime soon. We really look at our places to play, whether it's Raymond James Stadium, the Tampa Bay Times Forum, Steinbrenner Field, certainly Tropicana Field, all of these different places to play, and we see what events would make sense here. Do they have the right seating capacity? Do they have enough parking? And a lot of times they do, and we're able to go after it. But again, it's not just those major facilities. Our city and county parks and rec facilities are great venues for a lot of those youth and amateur events that I referenced earlier. So we take a look from a facility standpoint. If we have the facilities, we then make sure we have the hotels, and a lot of times we do. We've got just great hotel inventory here as well. And then we look and see what kind of package we can build in and around the event. So what kind of experience we can make with our attractions and everything in between.
Now you mentioned Pinellas County, talking about the stadium over there. What is your service area? What do you consider your service area?
Well, we receive our funding from Hillsborough County, so certainly we know our bread is buttered from that standpoint. But we've got a great regional board in place as well. So from the Rays and a lot of other Pinellas companies, we've got Pasco involvement as well. So we're really a regional organization. Now we have counterparts at the Convention and Visitors Bureaus at some of those other counties that do a fantastic job bringing events there as well. But we really consider ourselves to be a regional organization, and we do everything we can to put the best interest of Tampa Bay in front of everybody.
But your bed taxes only come from Hillsborough?
Only comes from Hillsborough, correct.
Okay. So if we can shove it there, so be it.
Well,
but
yeah,
if there's something else that brings people in, so much, that's good too.
But if it doesn't work and for some reason it doesn't meet a facility's requirements or confines here in Hillsborough, we'll reach out to our partners, either across the bay or in Pasco, to make sure that it stays within the region. It's so important that we look at this as a giant super region as well. And there's no better one in terms of our mind, in terms of sports and entertainment.
How do you find these people, though? I mean, you still have to have sources. Do people call you up and say, I used to, well, let's use Sun City as an example, because there's about 25,000 people out there from all over the United States, many of them from outside the United States, who were people who were executives, people who were in sports, people who were in different kinds of things. We have, I think, one of the largest collections of masters in the area of bridge of anywhere in the country in one small town. Can these people be of help to you?
Absolutely. It's all about relationships. And we're confident that our community has got some of the best relationships out there. So whether somebody has an event idea or suggestion, whether or not they have a relationship with an event across the country, we want to hear from them. We want to be able to work with them to be able to bring those events to our community. I'll give you a great example. One of the sport markets we've focused on over the recent years is the Paralympic sport markets. We've got a very strong relationship with a group called Paralympic Sport Club of Tampa Bay, a guy by the name of Andy Chasanoff.
What is a Paralympic?
Paralympic are basically athletes that have some physical disability.
Yeah, I thought maybe that might be the case, but rather than let it slide.
Absolutely, but we've got this really strong local organizing committee here that's helped us bid on and bring events really of all shapes and sizes back to our community. So we've been fortunate to host the National Junior Disability Championships. We've hosted the Dixie Games. This summer we're hosting the National Veteran Wheelchair Games. So here's this sport market where we really didn't have a lot of exposure to previously, but because we have some individuals that are very passionate about it in our community and that help cultivate relationships to be able to bring them here, we've been successful over the recent years in generating all that social and economic impact for that sport market that we referenced.
That works out pretty well because, well, in Sun City, I'm thinking of the lawn bowling. I'm thinking that sometime not too many years ago, they brought in an international tournament out there.
Absolutely. You know, that's another great example. We can work with folks. It stretches, again, we're a small staff, just 6 of us. We have our eye on the ball and a lot of focus
but
towards
a 54-member board, I think you said.
You know, you stretch it out and you go to 54-member board that has their eye on the ball in terms of bringing these events here. But then if we're able to stretch out and our entire community is all pulling in the same direction to bring these events here, it makes us unstoppable. And that 115 events will become a couple hundred events. And we'll just continue to snowball as long as we get everybody on board bringing these events here.
How can people be the most help to you? The people watching this broadcast right now, just look right at them and tell them what they can do to help you.
Well, we certainly need your help from a volunteer standpoint. These events are time intensive, and we can use your help making a great first impression with folks. So whether it's helping greet people when they arrive at the airport, to at the hotels, to anywhere and everywhere in between. We have a certain amount of volunteer obligation that takes place at these events to make sure they're successful. And then the second part is if you have an event idea or a relationship to be able to help make these come to fruition. We certainly want to crowdsource the overall ideas in terms of being able to bring events here. So if you think of an event that would make sense here, or have a relationship with an event, we'd love to hear from you and help make it happen and bring it home to Tampa Bay.
Now, on your website, do you have a list of what's going on?
We do. We have an event calendar. It's at tampabaysports.org. You're able to learn more about who we are, what we do, certainly our board, and then an event calendar that encompasses all of those different events that take place. So whether you would just want to attend an event, whether you want to volunteer at an event, or get involved, you have everything you need at your disposal right there at tampabaysports.org.
Now, are these always events where it's a sports thing, or would it be like a National Association of Umpires or referees or whatever, bringing them into Tampa to just have a conference or convention?
Sure. It could be a sports and entertainment convention as well. And if it just happens to be an association that doesn't rely on sports and entertainment or doesn't have that focus, we would help connect you with Tampa Bay and Company, which is our Convention and Visitors Bureau, who has their eye on the ball with associations, specifically with all those conventions that take place at the Tampa Convention Center. Over this past year, we've always had a really intense sports focus, but we've also started to focus on the entertainment side of things. You look at the amount of tourism that can take place with concerts specifically. We just recently worked with our Tampa Sports Authority, who helps manage Raymond James Stadium, on the Kenny Chesney concert. You look at that show, it was on a Saturday night in March. It was right in the heart of spring break. There was 230 colleges from around the country that were on spring break during that time. So we formulated a marketing plan to be able to bring a lot of those visitors here and experience their spring break here. And it resulted in 5,000 hotel visitor room nights just from that one concert. So you look at the potential from not only a sports side of things, but also an entertainment side of things, and formulating these community partnerships to be able to increase the ROI has paid really big dividends for the community.
So you're actually working with the promoters of these various singers, entertainers around the country.
Yep, no different than we have on the sports side. So as we've gone out and tried to be really active in recruiting those events here, we work with our local facilities to incentivize those promoters to bring their shows here as well now. And that's something we've just gotten into over the last year, and we've already started to see that pay off here in the short amount of time we've had that focus.
Won't it be fun not to have to promote 1-800-ASK-GARY?
I'll leave that one to you, Bill.
Well, I looked at it and I said, come on, a name for an amphitheater?
Well, you think though, the great thing about these facilities is they are aggressive in trying to bring in
they may be one of your
private.
sponsors.
Well, they are aggressive in trying to bring in private revenue streams. So, I think a lot of times these facilities may get, a bad rap per se. While we're biased, we know they pay huge dividends for the public investment in those facilities, but it's great to see them be aggressive in trying to get private revenue streams as well to help with the maintenance and the upkeep and these facilities. So it's great public-private partnership.
I understand the reason that they sold it, but it just seems to me there ought to be some naming criteria to make it easier for people like yourself going around the country trying to sell a stadium.
Sure. We try to use a lot of imagery, a lot of B-roll, and really put, when we're outbound selling these, we try to use every technology we can to help really sell these venues to bring those events here. So we certainly put a lot of focus on that specifically.
We got about a minute. What do you think is your greatest challenge right now to do what you do here in the Tampa region?
I think we just got to continue to galvanize the overall community and have everybody's eye on the ball. You mentioned it earlier in terms of an example like Sun City Center, and you've got a great resource with a lot of knowledgeable folks that certainly could help. We've got to make sure we try to identify all those different pockets within the community and tell them our story. Tell them about why this is such a great community to bring sports events to, and see if they have any relationships to help do it. And if they don't have any relationships, maybe they have a great event idea. And with that, we'll try to work hand in hand with them to help the community succeed even more.
If some group would like to have you come out, you'd come out and talk?
Absolutely. Would love to come out and talk to any group. We often talk to different Rotaries, different associations, and be able to just share our story. We love to be able to do that. And the more that we do that, the more we get the word out, the more eyes that we have out there on the ball in terms of sports and entertainment, the more successful we're going to be.
Well, we'll have to pitch this out at Sun City Center because they've got a lot of sports groups out there, from horseshoes to softball to just about everything you could ask for, including pickleball. And I didn't even know there was such a thing as pickleball. I have to tell you, I am really impressed, Rob, with your knowledge and what you've done for the community. Bringing all these room nights in is fabulous. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Bill Hodges. This is Spotlight on Government. We've had Rob Higgins with us, CEO of the Tampa Bay Sports Commission. Rob, you've done a great job. Thanks so much for everything you're doing for the community. And we'll have to get you out to speak there in Sun City and maybe some of the other areas.
I look forward to it. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for being here.